Hello, fourth graders. Welcome back to Mr. Nick's Poetry Corner. This week I'm coming to you from a different corner of the house because the other corner is taken by my toddler. So this week we're going to write all about memories. We have all these memories floating around in our head all the time. Memories from when we were really young, memories from just last year or last week. And yet nobody can see these memories except us. This week we're going to work on writing down our memories with a focus on using detail. So details are those small descriptions you give to something that really help us to see, hear, smell, touch, or taste it. For instance, if I say, I remember when I learned to ride a bike, it's hard to picture that scene. But if instead I say, I remember the first time I rode my bike without training wheels, the one with red and yellow flames on its frame and push-brake pedals. When I realized I was balancing, I yelled, I'm doing it, to my mom and nearly crashed. I pedaled round and round the block for the rest of the day. Do you notice how you can picture that scene so much more clearly? I used adjectives to describe the bike and show how I felt when I pushed off and realized I was riding it all by myself without the help of training wheels. When you're writing about our memories, we tend to remember those things that were important in our lives, something we did for the first time, only did once, or used to do all the time. If we want these memories to come alive on the page so everyone can see them, we want to use a lot of good, small details. The first poem I'm going to read today is a poem of memories from the writer Joe Brainerd's childhood. I want you to notice how in each of these memories he includes at least one small detail that makes the scene come alive. Try and notice these details as I read the poem out loud. I remember the only time I ever saw my mother cry. I was eating apricot pie. I remember how much I used to stutter. I remember the first time I saw television. Lucille Ball was taking ballet lessons. I remember Aunt Cleora who lived in Hollywood. Every year for Christmas she sent my brother and me a joint present of one book. I remember a very poor boy who had to wear his sister's blouses to school. I remember shower curtains with angelfish on them. I remember very old people when I was very young. Their houses smelled funny. I remember daydreams of being a singer all alone on a big stage with no scenery, just one spotlight on me, singing my heart out and moving my audience to total tears of love and affection. I remember waking up somewhere once and there was a horse staring me in the face. I remember saying thank you in reply to thank you, and then the other person doesn't know what to say. I remember how embarrassed I was when other children cried. I remember one very hot summer day. I put ice cubes in my aquarium and all the fish died. I remember not understanding why people on the other side of the world didn't fall off. If I asked you to remember what you ate last month or last year on a specific day, do you think you could remember? I certainly couldn't unless something really important happened that day. Joe Brainerd remembers eating apricot pie when he saw his mother cry because it was the only time that this happened. If something happens only once, we often remember those small details. What we were eating, what the smell was in the room, what the light was like, what we were doing with our hands. Do you think he would have remembered his shower curtains if they were just plain white? Probably not. What was special about those curtains is that they had angelfish on them. He also remembers how when he was younger, he didn't understand certain things, such as why people on the other side of the globe don't fall off, or why it's a bad idea to cool down fish with ice. Once the ice melted, they would get too cold. You can also think about memories of something that you didn't understand when you were younger. Now I'm going to share my I Remember poem. You'll notice that while the Joe Brainerd poem was about a whole bunch of memories, mine focuses on a few related memories but uses a lot of detail to show them. Pay attention to the details as I read this. I remember the day my sister was born. I was playing hide and seek with Grandpa up and down their long, cavernous hallways. I heard a car curve down the driveway, and Grandma called out for me. Dad was waiting outside. I thought he was on vacation. He said, "Nick, come close," and I could see him cradling something in the crook of his arm, something so small I thought it might disappear as I walked near. I remember that year Jessie was born. I was so angry Mom had moved out of the house. I came home one day and tore all my Lego sets apart. Towers came off castles, knights in armor careened across the room, and pirate ships lost their mainmasts. Once the gray and black and blue pieces were scattered everywhere, I remember sobbing and sobbing because I didn't know how to put them back together. Could you see the long cavernous hallways? Could you see the baby so small I thought she might disappear? What type of Legos did I have? And what colors were they? And in the last line, what do you think I didn't know how to put back together? I didn't know how to put back together my Legos, but I also didn't know how to put back together my parents, right? You see, at this time, my parents were in the process of getting a divorce, and I was confused and sad. And the only way I knew how to take out that emotion is through anger, which is why I tore those Legos apart. So this line is used in what is called a metaphor. So as you write your I Remember poems, I want you to think about the emotion you felt with each memory and why you felt it. Instead of saying you feel upset, try and show what you did or said that made you upset. You can do this with any emotion. Write for 20 minutes. If you finish one memory with a lot of delightful details, move on to a new one. You might write about a few memories each with a lot of details, or you could write about a whole bunch of memories, as Joe Brainerd did, with one or two. Try and keep that pencil moving throughout your whole time. I'm looking forward to reading all your poems and then getting to hear you guys read them.